Good morning everybody and welcome back to the channel. You're watching Pokemon Trainer Neats and this is episode 1 of Theme Deck Thursday. Now if you watched my episode of Pokemon Weekly yesterday, you would have heard me talk about this new series that I'm starting because I'm enjoying doing videos so much that I wanted to bring you guys more content. So I thought, why not do something with theme decks? I personally love theme decks. I think they're a great way for new players to get into the game, and they can also provide a change of scene for competitive players, just a complete change of tempo, and it's just playing the game in its most basic form. So I think theme decks are fantastic. So, as you can see, I have 33 theme decks here on the trading card game online, and there is a lot of built-in decks that I have here. So, as well as theme decks that I've unlocked codes of by myself. So, my plan with these theme decks is to start off with the built-in decks, going back to oldest first, which in this case would be Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Basic Green. I'm going to work through the decks that you can get in-game, and then I'm going to move on to all the decks that I have either bought from the online shop or put codes in to get the theme decks. I'll move on to those second. And as you can see, there's an awful lot of theme decks here, so we've got a lot to keep us going. And I think there's actually more built-in decks that I haven't unlocked in the Trainer Challenge yet, so with 33, we've certainly got enough to probably keep us going till nearly the end of the year. In fact, if I unlock all the decks from the Trainer Challenge that I haven't already unlocked, we'll have enough theme decks to cover us for a year. So that is rather exciting, I think. So, first of all, I'm going to show you the deck that we're going to use today, which is HS Basic Green. Now, this deck was created for the in-game when the game was very first released. I know when I first came across Pokemon Trading Card Game Online, it was actually during my, I suppose you could call it a sabbatical from Pokemon. I wasn't playing at that point, and I just happened to find my way onto the Pokemon website, and they had this online version of Pokemon Trading Card Game, and I thought, this is quite cool. So actually, Trading Card Game Online was the reason I got back into playing Pokemon, as I'm sure maybe for many of you, it was the same thing. So, this is one of the early decks they had. And it's all cards from the Heart Gold, Soul Silver era. So, if I just take you very quickly through the deck, there's 4 Jigglypuff, 3 Wigglytuff, 3 Turtwig, 2 Grottle, and 1 Torterra. Torterra, of course, being the main Pokemon for this deck. It is the kind of signature Pokemon of this basic green deck. Then we've got 3 Hoothoot, 3 Chikorita, 3 Bayleaf, 1 Meganium. This is the other main Pokemon of the deck. So if you're playing with this deck, your main aim is to get your Torterra and Meganium up where you can. Although obviously, because you don't have that many draw and drawing cards and trainer card options, it really is luck of the draw when you play theme decks. But that's what makes the theme deck format so fun, because you just don't know what's going to happen. Sometimes you might draw amazing, get everything you need, get your best Pokemon set up and just steamroll your opponent. Whereas other games, you might draw absolutely dead and get absolutely nothing, and games can be over in 5 minutes. It's such an unpredictable format, but it's so much fun at the same time. And then the final Pokemon in the deck, we have 3 Caterpie, 2 Metapod, 1 Butterfree, and this is all for a total of 29 Pokemon. Our trainer cards, they've given us 2 Plus Power, 2 Jewel Ball, 2 Potion, 2 Copycat, that's not actually a bad supporter actually, 2 Interviewer's Questions, and 2 Professor Oak's New Theory. So our supporters are actually quite good here. Copycat, basically, however many cards your opponent has in hand, you shuffle in and draw that many. Interviewer's Questions is a way to get energy cards, because you can choose as many as you like. So if you draw the top 8 cards of your deck and you've got like 6 energy there, you get to take all 6, which is fantastic. And then Professor Oak's New Theory. Now I know when XY Evolutions came out, a lot of people wanted Professor Oak's New Theory reprinted. As it was, we got Professor Oak's Hint, which is a slightly worse version of this, but this card, everybody played it back in the day. Because I did play a little bit, just casually at home, during the Heart Gold, Soul Silver era, because I did buy all 3 theme decks from Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and plenty of booster packs, so I did actually play with the Heart Gold, Soul Silver base set cards. and then the deck has 19 grass energy, just to finish it off. So, obviously, theme decks is always heavy on the Pokemon count, always heavy on the energy count. They literally are a learning tool for newer players, but they are a lot of fun to play, and this is what we're going to do. So, we're going to head over to the Versus mode now, and I'll show you a game with the HS Basic Green theme deck. So, we select Theme. So, like I said, I'll be bringing you these videos every Thursday. And we'll just play with one deck a week, one game, see what happens. The game could be over in 5 minutes, it could be a slightly slower, longer game. We just don't know. So, my opponent is rambling along, and they are playing the Fates Collide theme deck that has Zygarde in it. And we actually have the advantage here. I believe that's because Zygarde is grass weak. I was actually considering Zygarde as a build in the current standard format, but given that grass is a pretty big type in Sun and Moon, perhaps Zygarde may not be the best idea for me. So, we'll go first. It's a long time since I've played with this basic green deck, actually. Not a bad starting hand, actually. We've got 2 Chikorita, we've got a Bayleaf, we've got Professor Oak's New Theory, we've got an Energy. I'm also experimenting with the audio today. As you can hear, I've got music on in the background. The last time I tried this, I managed to completely ruin the audio quality when I messed about with it too much. But I think it literally is just a simple matter of highlighting the selected section of music in the movie software and just reducing the volume. So hopefully this music I've got on I will be able to keep there and just reduce the volume so that you can hear me above the music. The music is all on I've created a Pokemon playlist on iTunes. Attach an energy here, and that is all we're going to do this turn. Yeah, I have so much Pokemon music on iTunes, like quite a lot of it. I convert files from YouTube so that I can listen to music from like the anime, the movies, and then I've got it all in a Pokemon playlist that I think's got about 195 songs on it, so no shortage. There's some video game music on there. I've got music from Pokemon Yellow on there as well, and I've got all the Pokemon theme songs. So it should give us a good mix because I've got it shuffled, so Pokemon musical accompaniment to play Pokemon with. So my opponent here has a reasonably good setup, actually. They've got a Pokemon fan club going on to get a Zygarde and a Riolu, and I was right, Zygarde is indeed weak to grass. My opponent's got a Shuckle active with an energy on it, and has a benched Larvitar, Zygarde and Burmy, and now Riolu. And another Zygarde, so my opponent actually has a much better setup than us here. This current song was used in Pokémon the Movie 2000, Flying Without Wings. So, my turn. We're going to evolve to Bayleaf, attach energy, and we'll play Professor Oak's New Theory. Because there's so many energy in the deck, there's a high chance of us drawing an energy card. Oh, there we go, lots of energy cards. We've even got the second Bayleaf there, so that's fantastic. And we've drawn a Jigglypuff so we can start to build up our bench as well. And we'll use the hammer and attack for 20 damage. So my opponent has evolved into Wormadam, the grass version, and attached an energy. And I wonder what that Hyder Berry attack from Shuckle does, actually. I'm not too familiar with it. Draw 2 cards, then put a card from your hand on the bottom of your deck. That's not bad. So my opponent has 3 cards in hand, so I don't think we're really in a position at the moment to be able to use Copycat, because we've got energy, so we'll wait till my opponent draws a few more cards. So we're just going to use Razor Leaf for 50, but I don't think that's going to be enough to knock it out, because that Shuckle actually has 80 hit points. The current song was used as the introduction song on Pokémon the Movie 2000. Similar to the first movie, they did a remastered version of the theme song at the time. My opponent uses Potion. Unfortunately, that won't save them from us knocking them out next turn, as Razor Leaf does 50 damage. We see my opponent attach an energy to the benched Larvitar. So, our card for turn is another Grass Energy. Now, my opponent has 5 cards in hand now, so I think we can probably play that Copycat. Because 5 cards is a reasonable amount of cards to draw. So we draw Butterfree, Metapod, Plus Power, Potion, and Grass Energy. Unfortunately, we don't have a Caterpie to go with those yet. So, we'll just Razor Leaf for the knockout. Like I said, I do enjoy the simplicity of theme decks. Because you don't really have to think that much. Certainly if you've been a competitive player, theme decks is a breeze after playing competitively. I've always thought it would be cool if a league was to put on sort of a theme deck tournament where everybody plays with theme decks and then it's just completely random as to who's going to win, because nobody knows what's going to happen. So, we drew Wigglytuff, so we'll evolve to Wigglytuff. We'll attach an energy to the benched Bayleaf, and we'll use Razor Leaf, which I believe will take the knockout. Yep, so 100 damage, and that's a straight knockout on the Larvitar. It only had 50 hit points anyway, so even without the weakness we would have scored a knockout. And there's Torterra, although we don't have any Turtwig or Grottle on the bench. So at the moment Torterra is just going to sit in our hand and do nothing. So in terms of setup, we've definitely edged our opponents in terms of setting up. My opponent got more Pokemon down quickly, but we got the energy and the evolutions to be able to start doing more damage. So we see the Smash Punch attack from my opponent's Riolu. We'll use Potion to heal off Bayleaf. We'll attach an energy here. And I think we might actually... So how much hit points does that Wormadam have? That has 120. So I'm actually going to save the plus power because we'll need that plus power to get a 2-hit knockout on the Wormadam. So my opponent draws for turn. And evolves to Lucario. Okay, maybe starting to wish that I had used the plus power to take a knockout on the Lucario on the Riolu now. We see Beat Down from the Lucario for 40 damage. So we'll attach energy to Wigglytuff, although that has fighting weakness, so we're going to try not to use that where possible. So we'll just Razor Leaf for another 50. I think that Lucario has 110, so we could have actually got the knockout with plus power there, but... using it for the Lucario, using it for the Wormadam, it's as broad as it's long, really. Bayleaf has 90 hit points, so we'll survive the hit anyway. There's a Grottle, so all we need now is a Turtwig, and we can start to get those evolved. So we'll use Razor Leaf. Because I mentioned in a previous video as well that I quite often use theme decks to complete daily challenges. I have actually selected a grass challenge for today in terms of doing damage, so this battle will actually earn us some points on that. Not sure we'll get anywhere near the 1,000 in this battle, of course, as we're only doing smaller amounts of damage. So the Solar Ray attack for 20. My opponent obviously doesn't have much in the way of energy. So we'll promote the Bayleaf. So we find a Jewel Ball, so I'm going to play that, see if we can flip some heads. 1 heads, 1 tails, so we can search for 1 Pokemon, so I think we'll search for Turtwig, because in terms of attackers, the Torterra is much stronger attacker to the Butterfree. So, we'll bench Turtwig, play Interviewer's Questions to try and get some more energy cards. 2 energy cards, that's reasonable. We can start to power up Turtwig anyway. So we'll attach an energy here. Not going to use the plus power this turn, I'll wait till next turn. And then the most that this... So Leaf, if my opponent has another energy, Leaf Cutter with a heads could actually knock us out in 1 hit. So there's a Professor's Letter. We'll have to promote the Wigglytuff next, because I don't really want to use the Turtwig. Ah, but my opponent flips Tails, so thankfully we do survive, so No worries there. So we're going to attach the energy to the Turtwig and evolve it to Grottle. And now we are going to use the plus power to take a knockout. My opponent doesn't actually have any more energy in play, so... But is plus power 10 or 20? It's 10. Ah, so we don't take the knockout. I think you can get confused sometimes with more recent cards like Muscle Band and things that do an extra 20 damage. So we will actually get knocked out here, but if we don't evolve to Torterra, Razor Leaf would be enough to knock out the Wormadam anyway. And even if my opponent begins to power up a Zygarde, well, the Zygarde is grass weak, so if we can stop it getting enough energy to use Geostrike, at which point it would then run through us. I mean, if we draw an energy, we can evolve to Torterra and that'll be great. So, promote Grottle. Do we draw the energy we need? No, we don't. We draw another Wigglytuff. Okay. Well, the most my opponent is doing with the Zygarde is 30. So, for now, we're safe to stay as Grottle. We'll use Razor Leaf. Take the knockout, and take our 4th prize card of the game. And there's a Hoot Hoot. I would have preferred an energy. So my opponent promotes the Zygarde, that was to be expected. Basically, all we need, as soon as we draw an energy, we can evolve to Torterra. So we will see the Rumble attack from the Zygarde for 30 damage. Come on, energy card. Ah, it's a Chikorita. Okay, so we'll bench the Chikorita, bench the Hoot Hoot. And now this is where you see the slight failings with theme decks, because I know my opponent's got another energy, but we can't retreat and we can't use Torterra without a 3rd energy. However, Torterra has 140 hit points. But if my opponent has the energy for Geostrike, we're going to get knocked out anyway. Oh no. Okay, I think we just have to take the risk, maybe? Yeah, we'll just take the risk and evolve and pray my opponent doesn't have the energy, even though I think they do. So, pass the turn. My opponent draws. Do they have the energy? Well, they've evolved to Cinccino. Have they got the energy? This is the crucial question. Yes, they do. Okay, I think this is the point where my opponent's about to make a comeback and we're about to get steamrolled. Because that Geostrike is really, really strong. Does 10 damage to each of your bench, so it does 10 damage to their opponent's Pokemon, but 120 damage every single turn when you're using a theme deck is just... That's strong. That is really, really strong. Interviewer's Questions would be a really good card to get around about now, actually. There's the Caterpie. So it looks like we might just be limited to evolving our Pokemon, not attaching energy and getting steamrolled now, but... Hey, that's theme decks for you. That is the risk you run, but it's just, like I said, it is fun because you just don't know what's going to happen and you can just play the game in its most basic form and enjoy it. I will be talking about the merits of theme decks in a mini trilogy I'm going to be doing. I've just bought the all 3 Sun and Moon theme decks. So over the course of the next 3 to 4 weeks, I'll be opening those up one by one, and in each video I'll talk about a different thing about theme decks. So, like, say for example, the first video I'll talk about what you get when you buy your theme deck, and I'll just do little points like that, kind of make it up as I go along. So I think we literally are. We had a good start, but my opponent eventually did get themselves set up. So I'll throw up the Metapod because I'm going to evolve it to Butterfree anyway. Oh, and there's the energy. Actually, Butterfree does have free retreat costs, so I'm going to start... We're going to die anyway, so we might as well try and get a little bit of damage onto the Zygarde. So I'll use Hammer In. I could have done with that energy about 5 turns ago. So I think we're just going to see the Geostrike from my opponent here. I'll give my opponent a well played, because they did well to come back from that. So Geostrike from my opponent will knock out the Bayleaf, and that will end the game. So that was the Heart Gold Soul Silver basic green deck. I think the deck uses a variety of cards from across all the Heart Gold Soul Silver era sets. Obviously, of course, these built-in decks, they just kind of put a few strong Pokemon in there, a few weaker Pokemon in there, and of course they are basically the online tools to learning the game. But they are a lot of fun, and I do enjoy playing with theme decks. So that's going to bring us to the end of this week's episode of Theme Deck Thursday. Next week we'll be looking at the HS Basic Red deck, so that you can look forward to that next Thursday. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button for me. If this is your first time to the channel, please do subscribe and join our community. Obviously, of course, I'll be doing these videos every Thursday. I've got my regular Wednesday uploads, and then I'll be doing various pack openings at other points as well. So, plenty to look forward to on the channel. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all soon.